Making It Work is brought to you by Wealthsimple, which gives everyone access to simple, affordable investing on cruise control.
Something I've been struggling with over the last 2 months is that my life has gotten more expensive. I haven't moved. My rent is still reasonable compared to rent prices in New York City, and my utilities haven't gone up. But this year, for the first time, I had to start paying for health insurance. Not only does that mean I'll be paying about $215 a month, but I'll also be paying for doctor's appointments that I'd been putting off, which are not cheap on my insurance. I am also dealing with a car expense that had not kicked in until the beginning of this year, which is another $200 a month. Overall, my cost of living has increased by about $415 a month. Obviously, this stresses me out. Last year, though I wasn't always crushing it on the income side, when I first went freelance at the beginning of the year, part of my rent was funded by Airbnb tenants. I was actively keeping my expenses low, and I was still able to save diligently. This year, with my new expenses, I've had to make some quick changes to make sure I don't fall behind and put things on my credit card that I can't pay off. Here are 4 changes I've made to deal with my increased cost of living. Number 1, I calculated how much more I'd actually need to earn to cover my new expenses. If my cost of living has increased by $415, I would have to make an additional $700 a month, which factors out to about $460 after taxes to cover the expenses. One of the biggest mistakes I made last year was not factoring tax in whenever I calculated my earnings. If I needed an extra $300 for something, I would make it my goal to make an additional $300. Unfortunately, when I get a check for $300, I automatically deduct a third, which is what my accountant recommends I take out to go toward taxes. So $300 actually becomes $200. While this is a sad truth, it's important to accept it and factor it into your budgeting and saving strategy if you're a freelancer. I then followed through and increased my earnings when necessary. Around the beginning of every month, I figure out how much my earnings will be for the coming month. This means calculating how much I can make based on work I've promised to clients, and how much I need to earn to comfortably cover my expenses, including my new expenses and any unexpected ones that pop up, with room for spending money and money to put in savings. If the first number isn't high enough to cover everything the second number comprises, I find more work to do and add an extra project to my docket. Number 2, I looked through my budget meticulously and found a substantial expense I could cut. I went through my checking account statement and my credit card statement, and I tried to find a money-draining culprit that I could slash. I was successful. I was paying $130 a month for a storage unit because I moved from a large place to a smaller place and had furniture I couldn't part with but couldn't fit into my apartment. I got the storage unit on sale for $100, but in the last few months, they'd started aggressively raising the price on me. I decided it would be best to spend the money up front to rent a U-Haul and save money on the storage unit in the long term. With the help of a few friends and my boyfriend, we took one Saturday in early February and cleared out the storage unit. I split the furniture between Goodwill, my place, and my boyfriend's place. My roommate and I are still trying to figure out what to get rid of in our overcrowded living room. But on the plus side, that's $130 I can now use towards my new expenses. Number 3, I also made unnoticeable changes to my monthly budget. While combing through my budget, I also tried to identify spending areas that I could trim down. I did this about 6 months ago, so my food, entertainment, and utilities budgets are already fairly low. But after the holidays, I got more lax about adhering to those budgets than I should have. I decided to tighten up by taking away a not too noticeable amount from my food and entertainment category, about $60. To accommodate this budget cut, I did one no eating out week in February, and also did not spend on entertainment. And it worked perfectly for my budget. For anyone trying to cut their food entertainment budget down just a little bit, I definitely recommend skipping eating out and going out for 1 week out of the month. I'm going to try and do it again in March. Number 4, I transferred money from my savings to my IRA so I couldn't be tempted to dip into my savings. I left enough money in my savings account for a hefty emergency fund and put the rest in my Roth IRA. But it definitely makes me feel shaky that I don't have that lovely cushion I could always dip into. However, I don't want to accommodate to my new expenses by taking them out of my savings account. And by taking a large chunk of my savings out and relocating it, I won't have that temptation. I'm equally glad that I moved my money because I don't want to rest on my laurels when it comes to savings. Even though my new budget has presented some challenges, I want to make sure I'm not throwing my savings plan out the window in order to accommodate my new expenses. By ensuring that I can't see a portion of the money I saved last year, I can guarantee that I won't let myself off the savings hook.
Finding wiggle room in your budget is easier when you have a plan in place for the money you save. For instance, with Wealthsimple, you can finally open up the investment account you've kept putting off and start taking care of your future. Wealthsimple is online investing that's as simple and human as it gets. In just 5 minutes, they'll build you a custom portfolio to fit your personal goals and timeline. Just answer a few easy questions and they'll manage your money for you on autopilot. Set it, forget it, and let your money grow in the background. You can turn on automatic deposits as well as set up a smart savings account with higher rates than big banks for your shorter-term goals, your wedding, your next great adventure, or that handbag you need. They also have a socially responsible portfolio that invests in green stocks and companies that support gender diversity. The fees are much lower than big banks, and TFD viewers will get their first $10,000 managed for free with no minimum deposit. Check them out at wealthsimple.com/TFD or use the link in our description. There are no account minimums, and it only takes a few minutes to start. No excuses.